What's going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome everybody back to another episode of Man Listen. I am your host, Bron G. So today we're going to talk about building together or competing alone. Because whether you realize it or not, and it's sad to say, a lot of people are out here competing with the very people that they're supposed to be building with. So we want to start off by talking about the choice we all make. You know, every relationship, whether it's friendship, partnership, or even marriage, it comes down to one choice, and that's, are we building together or are we competing in silence? Because not all competition is loud. You know, some of it looks like smiling in someone's face, but you comparing behind the scenes. You know, you supporting, but at the same time, you feel threatened. And you're clapping for them, but at the same time, while you're clapping for them, you're questioning your own worth. And that silent competition is the most dangerous kind. You know, let's talk about when competition enters the room, and let's just be honest for a split second. We all like some healthy competition. I know I do, because it can push you, right? So, toxic competition, on the other hand, it divides you. And that's when you begin to measure instead of motivate. You know, you begin to compare instead of collaborate with each other. And you start keeping score instead of building that connection with each other. And now everything, it becomes, okay, who's doing more, who's winning, or who's ahead. Even in relationships, you know, instead of asking, how can we grow, it becomes, who's right or who's doing the most in our relationship. And we can all agree that that's not partnership, that's quiet rivalry. And let's talk about why we compete. Because I know we all compete in some capacity. Most competition isn't about the other person. You know, it's about what's going on inside of you. You know, whether it's insecurities, whether it's lack of identity, whether it's fear of being overlooked, or even fear not being enough. Because when you don't know your value, you start measuring yourself against everybody. But when you know who you are, you stop competing and you start building. So here's my favorite part of the podcast, which is the Bron G analogy. So what I got for you guys today is, imagine you and someone you really care about are both in the kitchen, and y'all are supposed to be cooking the same meal. But instead of working together, one person starts hiding the ingredients, which is pretty petty in my opinion, and the other starts changing the recipe, which is again petty, and nobody communicates. Now, both of you are trying to prove my way is better. So instead of creating something amazing together, you end up with a meal that's incomplete, off balance, and it tastes like frustration. And it's not because y'all didn't have what you needed, it's because you refused to work together. And that's what happens when competition enters a connection. Now, on the flip side, you flip it when both people share the ingredients, respect each other's role, follow the same vision. Now that meal, it comes together. And not only does it taste better, it's something that you both can be proud of. So, how does this shows up in a relationship? I'm glad you asked. Because some relationships aren't struggling from lack of love, they're struggling from, again, quiet competition. You see it when one partner grows and the other feels threatened. One partner succeeds and the other feels that insecurity. One speaks up and the other tries to regain control. So instead of saying, I'm proud of you, it turns into, well, what about me? And now that relationship, it starts to shift. And it shifts from being teammates to being opponents. And that was never the design, right? So let's talk about building together, if you building together, right, it does require maturity. It requires security in who you are as a person, discipline over your ego, the ability to celebrate others without the comparison. And you have to shift your mindset from how do I measure up to how do we grow together? Ask better questions. How can I support you? How can we win together? What can we build that's bigger than both of us? Because real success isn't about standing alone. It's about building something that lasts together. So I want to hit you guys with a real talk check right quick. Take a moment and be honest with yourself. Are you building with the people that you're supposed to build with, or are you quietly competing with them? And even deeper than that, are you surrounded by people who clap when you win, push you to grow, or even want to see you elevate? Or are you around those people who feel distant when you level up? They get quiet when you succeed, and they only support you when it's convenient for them. So don't just check your circle, check yourself. At the end of the day, you have a choice to either compete and end up isolated, or build and create something powerful with others. Because the truth is, you might win alone, but you'll get further when you're together. So I want to end this. Well, before I end it, I want to give you a man listen truth. And that is, if you have to compete with your circle to feel valuable, you're in the wrong circle. Or better yet, you're in the wrong mindset. So with that being said, I want to take this time to say thank you to everybody who took the time to listen. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, share to somebody who really needs to hear it. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys for this. It motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm really honored to be doing this again. I'm in a good place with it. I'm feeling more and more motivated each time I put out an episode. So again, I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And until the next one, y'all be good.